The wind on that rooftop that day was cold as a knife. I still remember it clearly. The smell of damp concrete, the too sweet perfume clinging to my sister's neck, and the way Cassandra looked at me like I was a defective item that needed to be thrown away. "You're the lucky one," she said, whispering right by my ear so gentle it was terrifying. But that luck was supposed to be mine. Then her hand settled on my back. Not hard. No yank. Just a light shove like nudging an empty glass off the edge of a table. The second my feet left the rooftop, I heard her exhale. Relief? Like she'd finally put down a burden. The city lights stretched into long streaks, like someone had raked their nails across the sky. And before everything went dark, I understood one thing. Cassandra didn't hate me. She just hated that I existed in a story where she wanted to be the main character. When I opened my eyes again, I didn't see the sky. I saw the white ceiling of our old living room, the wall clock ticking, and rain tapping against the window. I shot upright, my heart pounding like I just escaped a nightmare. But this wasn't a dream. The photo of my parents on the shelf still looked new. The frame still wrapped in plastic. The funeral wreaths hadn't even started to wilt. The whole house still reeked of candles and strangers' coats. Today was the day Uncle Gray and Aunt Harper came to adopt us. I clenched the bedsheet, my nails digging into the fabric. A cold feeling crawled up my spine exactly like it had on that rooftop. Cassandra came back too. I knew it. Because only she could turn a life into a gamble, then pick the most poisonous card and play again. The doorbell rang. I went downstairs in silence. The living room was brighter than usual because there were too many adults in black, saying the same comforting lines like they were reading off a script. In the center of the room, my grandmother, Grandma Margaret, sat ramrod straight like a statue, her eyes red but her face dry. And the moment the door opened, two people walked in like two extremes of the same fate. Uncle Gray, Alexander Gray, the man the papers called the billionaire who saved the market, and the one who makes Wall Street go quiet. His gray suit fit like armor, his voice clipped, his eyes trained to see everything in numbers. He stepped inside still on a call, tossing out words like acquisition, legal, damage control, like his own brother and sister's funeral was just a meeting that got interrupted. Aunt Harper, Harper Lane, a former Hollywood star, red carpets, national obsession until she suddenly vanished from L.A. and moved to a small town in Vermont, living in a cabin, growing vegetables, keeping horses, and filming healing life vlogs on TikTok. She wore a cream wool coat, her hair pinned up neat, her face still beautiful, but her eyes held something softer than stage lights. They arrived together, like they were here to collect a debt. Uncle Gray finally ended the call. He glanced at me and Cassandra, then at Grandma Margaret. "Let's keep this quick. I've got a flight in 3 hours." Aunt Harper hurried over and took my grandmother's hand, voice catching. "Mom, I'm sorry. I should have come back sooner." Grandma Margaret nodded, all her exhaustion packed into one breath. "The girls can't stay here forever." I stood still. Cassandra stood beside me, her shoulders trembling, eyes glossy just enough. She always knew how to cry on cue, and she always knew how to make other people feel guilty with her tears. Uncle Gray spoke plainly. "I can take both of them." I saw Cassandra's eyelid twitch, but before anyone could react, Aunt Harper cut in fast, like she was afraid the chance might slip away. "Alex, you're busy. You don't have time. We talked about this one child each." Grandma Margaret looked at us, her voice turning gentle, like she was soothing children when she was really placing an entire future on our heads. "Cassandra, have you thought it through? If you go with Harper, that's Vermont. The country. Far from the city, far from good schools. If you go with Alex, your life will be different." I looked at my grandmother. I understood what she wanted. She wanted Cassandra to choose Uncle Gray, not because she loved her more than me, but because she believed Cassandra was charming, good with words, good at pleasing rich people, good at grabbing onto the highest branch. If Cassandra went with Uncle Gray, even if she only got a small piece of it, it would be enough to make Grandma Margaret's last years easier. But Cassandra had chosen Uncle Gray once before, and she'd been crushed by that heaven. I looked at Cassandra. She lowered her head, timed a tear perfectly, then suddenly threw herself into Aunt Harper's arms like a child who'd lost her only place to cling to. "Aunt Harper," Cassandra sobbed, "I want to live with you. I don't need money. I just want family." The entire living room went silent. Grandma Margaret froze, like someone had slapped the thought right out of her head. Cassandra, if you go with her, you'll have to live out in the country. Can you handle that? Cassandra lifted her face. Her eyes were wet and bright with a kind of determination that, on anyone else, would have looked like love. But I could see the calculation behind it sharp as a razor. I can, she said firmly. I want to be with Grandma and Aunt Harper. Aunt Harper lit up, hugging Cassandra tight like she'd just been handed the greatest gift in the world. Good, good. Mom, I promise I'll take care of her. Don't think just because I left Hollywood I can't provide for a child. Grandma Margaret stared at Cassandra for a long time. Finally, she nodded, like she was accepting the wrong choice because there wasn't another road left. The three of them held hands, speaking in lines that sounded like a happy ending. And just like last time, I got pushed to the edge of the frame. But this time, I wasn't giving anyone the chance to nail me to a moral cross. I walked straight up to Uncle Gray. Uncle Gray, I said clearly, I'm going with you. He looked me over cold, fast, the way he'd scan a report. Your name is Evelyn. I answered for myself, because in my last life, Cassandra had used that name to step on me. Evelyn Hart. Uncle Gray gave a small nod. Pack your things. 30 minutes. We're leaving now. No warmth. No promises. Just an order. Cassandra stood beside Aunt Harper, smiling with her eyes like she'd just nailed the perfect scene. She walked over, hugged me light as a touch. Little sister, she whispered, her breath sweet with mint. He's the richest man in America. I'm giving you the better opportunity. Shouldn't you thank me? Before I could answer, Uncle Gray turned, his gaze pressing straight onto Cassandra. Giving, he repeated, voice low. The choice is theirs. No one is giving anyone anything. He held Cassandra's stare for another second. If you want, I can take you too. Cassandra immediately stepped back half a pace, like that look burned. She tucked herself behind Aunt Harper, voice rushing sweet and polite. No, Uncle. You and Aunt already agreed one child each. Don't break the arrangement because of me. Then that's that, Uncle Gray said, ending it without another word. Cassandra's face tightened for one heartbeat, then she snapped back into a perfect, strained smile to cover the slip. She leaned to my ear again. This time her voice was lower, meaner. Evelyn, she said, I hope you enjoy your rocket ride to the clouds. I looked at her and smiled. In my last life, Cassandra chose Uncle Gray and thought it was a shortcut to heaven. Instead, she got thrown into a gilded cage, her posture corrected, her words polished, her meals controlled, her friendships curated. When she cracked the cage with a scandal at private school, Uncle Gray slammed the door shut with an arranged marriage. Her husband back then wasn't some Buddhist monk in Beijing from a fairy tale. In America, he was a famous spiritual billionaire in Seattle running luxury retreats, preaching purity, living single as a symbol, and using that purity to control an empire. Cassandra cheated to escape the loneliness. In the end, she died in a penthouse facing the ocean, locked away like a secret that had to be buried. And me? I once saved a man after an accident, amnesia, sprawled in white snow like a wolf with a broken leg. I took care of him for a year. When his memory came back, he wasn't just a man. He was the heir to a family so powerful they didn't need to show it for everyone to bow. I became his wife. And Cassandra pushed me off a skyscraper anyway because she couldn't stand that I lived better than she did. Thinking of that, I looked at Cassandra. My smile stayed in place, but inside I was calm, cold. Thank you, I said softly. I hope this time you really like the choice you made. I followed Uncle Gray outside. A glossy black car was waiting like a period at the end of a sentence. When the door shut, the rain suddenly sounded farther away. I leaned back, staring through the window as Cassandra clung to Aunt Harper and cried like the perfect good girl. She didn't know I came back too. And she definitely didn't know that this time, I'd let her walk her shortcut all the way to the end. As for me this time, I was taking my own road. Not to beat her, but so that when I finally stood at the top, no one would ever be able to push me off again. Until one day, in an ice-cold basement under a glass house in Seattle, Cassandra would finally learn what a doorless hell feels like. The man the media called a master of purity, the one who preached compassion and celibacy, locked her up like she was a sin. In the dark, Cassandra could hear the house staff's footsteps on the stairs, hear them whisper like they were telling a fairy tale about someone else. They talked about my wedding. They talked about a diamond ring, a white church by the sea, a line of luxury cars like a movie scene. Cassandra went insane with jealousy. So insane that, in her eyes, the whole world needed to rot with her. The news reached me as a light little comment, like imprisoning someone in a basement was just another scandal that got buried. I used to think I still owed her a little blood, history, something. Even after everything. So I went. I stood in front of an electronic steel door, breathing in damp mildew mixed with incense and artificial smell that made me want to throw up. I met Cassandra on the stairs. She was thin, hollow-eyed, lips cracked, yet her gaze still gleamed like a freshly sharpened blade. Before I could even step closer, she lunged, grabbing my wrist like she'd grabbed a lifeline. Then, in the same second, her fingers turned into a vice. She dragged me to a high railing where the wind screamed like fate laughing. "Evelyn," Cassandra ground out, her voice shaking with hate, "what are you pretending for? You came to save me? Or you came to watch me fall apart?" I didn't even get a word out before she shoved. No hesitation. No pause. "If I don't get my luxury, you don't get yours either." As I fell, I understood Cassandra would never understand what I'd paid to build this life. No one saw the midnight negotiations, the filthy contracts, the times I had to bow at the right moment, stay quiet in the right place, smile even when I felt like coughing up blood. But that was fine. She'd learn. Just in the cruelest way possible. Then I opened my eyes and time bent backward like a movie, rewinding. Back to the day Uncle Gray and Aunt Harper came to adopt us. Back to the day Cassandra cried in Aunt Harper's arms like a good child, choosing Vermont like she was choosing paradise. And I chose Uncle Gray. And from the second I stepped into the Gray family's black car, my life started changing in a way there was no going back from. My mother married my father and cut off her own family for a love she believed was fate, so my memories of Uncle Gray were mostly holidays, him dropping by in a cold suit, telling my mom to come back, his voice hard as a sentence. But in reality, he wasn't as cruel as I'd imagined. He took me straight to the main gray townhouse in New York, old, heavy wooden doors, hallways long as a silent museum. Grandma Margaret stood at the entrance, stared at me for a long moment, and then tears fell. "You're safe here," she said, voice thick but steady. "No one's going to bully you." And it was true. No one bullied me. Aunt Elise, Uncle Gray's wife, the woman who showed up in charity news without ever bragging, stayed up all night getting a room ready for me. She wrapped me in a tight hug the moment I walked in, like she was afraid I'd vanish. "Maybe God knew we couldn't have kids," Elise said, eyes red. "So he sent you to us." Uncle Gray didn't do tender speeches. He quietly called in a group of cousins, people with the last name Gray, names that sounded like they belonged to a different world. They were curious the way well-raised people are, watching more than talking, polite more than nosy. At first, I was something strange placed in the middle of the room, but after a few meetings, strange became familiar. Familiar became close. I didn't have friends. They became my first friends in this life. Uncle Gray enrolled me in an international school in Manhattan. He stacked my tutoring schedule like an investment plan: math, science, essay writing, debate, piano, etiquette, and even classes that sounded ridiculous to anyone who wasn't rich. He set the planner on the table. It sounded like an order, but what he was really giving me was something I'd never had. If you like a subject or hate it, say it. He looked at me, his eyes not soft but not dismissive either. "You're not taking these classes to chase some ranking. You're taking them to learn who you can become." I nodded. Serious, like I'd just sworn an oath. I understood. Rich kids get permission to try and fail. Try until something fits, fail until failing stops being scary. But that mindset doesn't come out of nowhere. It's trained, taught, built by the right environment. Cassandra never had that process last time. She only wanted the crown. She couldn't handle the weight. And I needed all of this too badly. I wanted books. I wanted strength. I wanted to become something that couldn't be manipulated. I studied like I was possessed. 5 hours of sleep, sometimes 4. I learned to speak properly without sounding small. To be soft without being weak. To stay calm when people stared like they were searching for cracks. I made connections not to cling, but to build a network no one could cut off easily later. Slowly, people in our circle started looking at me differently. Warm, polite, approachable, and terrifying in the way they started calling me talented, like it was something I was born with. Not something I bought with my entire childhood. Sometimes, Uncle Gray would test me. Like he wanted to know if I resented him. If you think I'm too strict, say it. We can keep you here for life. I shook my head. You're not too strict, I said honestly. If you and Aunt Elise weren't pushing me every day, I couldn't be doing this well. I held the trophy I just won, pride burning hot in my chest. Uncle Gray looked at it, then finally nodded small, but enough to tell me I'd been recognized. Good, he said. That's what a Gray should look like. While I was being forced to grow up day by day, Cassandra's life was a lot lighter. Aunt Harper had gone to community college before she got famous. In her mind, school was optional. She pulled Cassandra into filming everyday cooking, horseback riding, gardening, sunshine-drenched healing life content. Cassandra grew up under ring lights and trending background music. Her name showed up on hot searches constantly. She was convinced her prince would show up. So she dumped school. She went to a trade school and still became a social media girl with millions of followers. Each clip got hundreds of thousands of views. One sponsorship paid more than most people made in months. But Cassandra wasn't happy. Because she didn't know when, in my last life, I met him. She didn't dare leave Vermont. Didn't dare move to the city. Didn't dare miss a day, as if the second she relaxed, fate would take a wrong turn. She waited and waited. No amnesiac prince fell into her hands. Then one day, the trending page exploded with another name. Mine. Evelyn Hart, Team USA. At the International Physics Olympiad champion, a photo of me and my teammates, wrapped in the flag trophy raised, spread across platforms like a fever. Because I looked good on camera. Because I was the youngest on the team. Because the Gray name got dug up. I got singled out and praised into a frenzy. Born lucky and still works that hard, she's crushing everybody. Oh my God, she's my upperclassman. She's actually so nice in real life. My mom won't stop telling me to be like Evelyn. If she's that good, why even be a rich kid, just be a genius full time? Cassandra got buried under my trending wave like someone slapped her in front of millions. She rushed to post a video showing off her own awards. People immediately called out that they were meaningless little certificates. She deleted the video that night. Right then, Aunt Harper called to congratulate me. Cassandra snatched the phone, forcing her voice into the call like she needed me to hear she still existed. Little sister, Cassandra sneered. So you had a secret move. You even changed your last name. Winning because you're backed by the Grays, trying to make me jealous and regret it? You're adorable. I lazily scrolled my screen. In my friend requests, there was a new one. The account name was Noah Sterling. I smiled a little. Hearing you talk like that, I said lightly. Sounds like you're doing great. Let me guess, you've met your prince already? Silence on the other end. Short. But I heard the breath drop out of it. Cassandra still tried to hold on to arrogance like a mask about to crack. Don't be stupid. He'll be mine sooner or later. Her voice jumped up, like she was convincing herself. Luxury is something only I deserve. I'm making over $1 million a month now. And you're just a leech living off the Gray money. I'm above you now and don't even think you'll ever pass me. Then I hope you get exactly what you want, I said. I tapped the screen and accepted Noah Sterling's friend request. He was the man Cassandra dreamed of in my last life. The one who would lose his memory in an accident, then crash into my world like a meteor. Only this time, he landed in my hands before she even saw him. Cassandra kept talking, her voice sharp like she wanted to bite. When it happens, don't come begging me for help. I didn't get to answer before she hung up. My phone buzzed twice. Noah Sterling messaged first. I didn't open it right away. I stood up and went straight to Uncle Gray's office. Because I remembered, in my last life, right around this time, the Gray Group's cash flow started cracking. Old heroes sitting high and doing nothing began showing their faces. Bad debt, murky deals, buried violations, black mud rising from the bottom of a river. Uncle Gray was so busy his eyes were shadowed. His shirt barely changed. I knocked. He looked up. His gaze was sharp like always. But there was a thread of exhaustion he didn't bother hiding. What is it? I stepped in, stood straight. No small talk. Uncle Gray, I said. I want to study finance. He didn't look surprised. He just watched me closely. Like he was deciding whether this was impulse or a calculated choice. You're sure? His voice dropped. With your current record, you can be top in a different field without finance. And what the gray name can give you right now. He paused, like he was admitting something ugly. Might just be a mess. I raised an eyebrow, smiled a little, but my eyes didn't joke. I know. Then I repeated it. Each word clean. I want to study finance. In that moment, Uncle Gray's brow loosened like he'd finally seen something in me he'd been waiting for. He opened a drawer and handed me a thick packet. Now that the competition's over, you'll have guaranteed offers, he said. And you can apply to these top schools. On the paper were names that made people's hands shake just reading them. Wharton, Harvard, Stanford, MIT, Chicago. I took the packet. It felt like a weapon. I dipped my head. Thank you. Then I left the office and walked down the long hallway, yellow lights spilling across polished wood like a path. My phone buzzed again. This time I opened it. Noah Sterling's message popped up short, polite, like someone trying to stay calm. Hi. We haven't met, but I think we should talk. It's important. I stared at the word important for a long moment. Important. I knew. Because in my last life, right after this message, Noah Sterling would get into an accident. He would lose his memory. And Cassandra would go hunting for him like an addict hunting a fix, convinced that if she could hold him, she could hold a lifetime of luxury. But this time, I was standing somewhere else. I set the phone down and took a slow, deep breath. I wasn't the kid being weighed on a scale for adults to choose anymore. I was going to hold the scale. And Cassandra was going to be the first person to learn what it costs to be greedy. I lifted my chin, staring at the thick packet in my hands, and a single thought clicked sharp in my mind. Uncle Gray had seen this coming. I didn't say it out loud, but my eyes must have given me away. Uncle Gray read it anyway, and suddenly laughed, a rare sound that made his office, usually cold as a boardroom, feel briefly human. Evelyn. He tapped the desktop lightly, like he was tapping my forehead. When you can guess what I'm thinking, that's when you can say you've learned something. He looked at me sharp, not cruel. You've still got a lot to learn. I stood straighter, inhaled once. Then I'm here to tell you my final decision. He was still smiling, like he'd already seen my future from day one. Go ahead. I looked him in the eye. I'm applying to Harvard. I'm studying finance. I'm going to learn how to sit at the same table as you, not stand behind you. His smile slowed. Then he nodded, his voice dropping like a verdict. Evelyn, bringing you into the Gray family was the best decision I've ever made. He paused, weighing something serious. You're nothing like your mother. Then, without hesitation, he added, but you'll be the finest kid the Gray family has ever had. I hugged the packet to my chest and left. Walking down that long hallway, I realized my heart wasn't chasing fear anymore. It was chasing something else. Ambition. Clean. Bright. No more shame. No more begging. Back in my room, I opened my laptop. I filled out every section of my Harvard application like I was signing a contract with fate. I attached every award, report, achievement, recommendation letter. The files were nearly a gigabyte. Submit. When the screen flashed, submission complete, I finally went back and opened Noah Sterling's messages. The first one was simple. I'm Noah Sterling. Maybe because I'd stayed quiet too long. He sent another. I admire you. Can we be friends? I let out a soft laugh. In my last life, people online joked about me and Noah like we were a fairy tale. He didn't want a kingdom, he only wanted the girl. He'd dump half his fortune just to marry me. Right. And not right. Noah was the Sterling family's crown prince. But that crown wasn't placed on his head by his father. It was placed there by another woman. Noah's stepmother Vivian Sterling was famous in the press for being the perfect stepmom. Gentle, kind, loving to her husband's son like he was her own. Everyone said Noah was lucky. But the truth was, Vivian was playing a game of build him up to take him down. She raised Noah like a flower in a greenhouse, pretty, fragrant, useless. She let him drift, let him date around, let him rack up scandals, and she'd put on the perfect show afterward, heartbroken, helpless, so the whole country would believe Noah wasn't ruined because of her, but because it was just who he was. In my last life, when Noah's dad died, Vivian finally showed her fangs. She hired someone to kill Noah inside a club in Manhattan. He ran for his life, bounced from place to place, and ended up wandering into Vermont where I was living back then. I met him on a rainy night. The second he saw me, He understood he needed armor. So he went with the flow and pretended he had amnesia. That's when I learned the sterling crown prince wasn't just a playboy. He was the kind of person who didn't need to prove anything man or woman, tough or soft to anyone. He lived on instinct, on freedom, on the stubborn defiance of someone who'd been caged too long. And yeah, in that life, we ended up becoming besties. A kind of besties who were both ruthless and saving each other at the same time. Now he was texting me again, looking for his bestie again, tail wagging. I let out a breath and typed a few lines, half warning, half saving his life. Nice to meet you, Noah. If you want to be friends, start by being careful. Don't trust anyone who's too kind to you. Especially family. I didn't know if he'd believe me. But right after, he sent me a flood of blowing kiss and heart stickers, half flirty, half grateful. I laughed, shut my phone off, and went to sleep. Time passed like a blade getting sharpened. Slow and steady. I studied. I tested. I won. I left New York for Cambridge. 4 years at Harvard. I didn't live like a girl. I lived like a project. I finished credits early. I graduated. And on the exact day I rolled my suitcase into JFK to fly back, the internet in America blew up with a couple major stories. News that Grey Group's funding chain had snapped. News about an insider selling internal information. Dry financial breakdown stuff regular people didn't understand, so it didn't go that viral. What did go viral was something else. Vermont healing influencer confesses, dating Sterling heir Noah Sterling. The Vermont social media girl Cassandra basically outed herself as Noah's girlfriend. Social media went up like gasoline hit a match. Vivian Sterling immediately held a press conference. She sobbed, talking about how Noah had suffered, talking about bringing Noah home, and how that poor young girl should be cared for too. Overnight, Cassandra and Aunt Harper became the hottest targets alive. New York and D.C. media swarming them like sharks. And because of that, I saw Cassandra again. At a private auction, Old Money invited me as a kind of welcome back, Evelyn Hart officially returning. Over the years, I'd still heard bits about Cassandra. Every once in a while, a clip of Harper's niece would pop up on trending. Aunt Harper wanted to turn Cassandra into an actress. But Hollywood isn't Vermont. People don't buy dreams through filters. So they kept circling the same spot, still just influencers. And me, just from a few livestream clips under a minute, I could tell Cassandra was tasting the same things I once tasted. Getting hit. Getting forced, getting locked up, getting starved. For one reason, and one reason only. Not obeying. I wasn't interested in digging deeper. But I was interested in watching her look ugly. The private room door swung open. Cassandra strutted in, arm hooked through Noah's, acting like the place was her stage. She dropped into the chair across from me and smiled bright. "Oh my God, Evelyn," she drawled. "So you finally came back. It's been years. You've changed so much, people have no idea." Then she turned to everyone in the room, like she was telling a joke. "Evelyn's my real little sister. Don't let the glow up fool you. Back then, she was ugly. And stupid." The air in the room stalled. Cassandra glanced at Noah. When he didn't react, she got bolder, casual in that shameless way. Back home, Evelyn used to run out to the edge of town to play. She paused, waved a hand. "Never mind, you people wouldn't get it. Like, she messed with nasty stuff." She cackled, then leaned closer to me. "Tell me," she whispered. "Which hospital do you work at now? Who'd you bribe to get in? What did you get done that you leveled up that fast?" She winked, pretending we were close. But my friends' faces in that room were already turning cold. Even if Grey Group's funding chain was in trouble, I was still someone they valued. I'd helped them before. Given them opportunities. Pulled them out of a few PR fires. Now some crown princess from nowhere barged in and insulted me on their turf. Of course, it pissed them off. Jade Quinn, my most hot-headed friend, was the first one to let out a sharp, icy laugh. Influencer behavior. Jade leaned back, voice sweet but venomous. "Up all night flirting with random dudes. So that mouth stays real smooth, huh?" She tipped her chin up. "Nobody invited you. Who's backing you that you think you can act like this in here?" Cassandra immediately covered her mouth, blinked at Noah, and put on the wounded look. "Noah, did I say something wrong? I'm just worried about my sister." Noah shrugged, grinning like he was watching a show. "Babe, this isn't my place," he said lightly. "I don't get to make the rules." Panic flashed in Cassandra's eyes. but she still lifted her chin, refusing to stand. Jade tapped a finger on the table. Call staff. An attendant came in. Jade's voice went flat. Escort her out. Wash her mouth out and toss her outside. Don't let her stink up the auction. Cassandra went pale, looking around like she was searching for a savior. No one moved. The attendant stayed polite, still asking her to leave. Cassandra snapped her head toward Noah, eyes red. Noah, look at them. Noah smiled, helpless. Babe, just deal with it. Cassandra froze. Jade gave a cold snort. Drag her out by the hair. The attendant apologized and started to reach out. Cassandra shot up immediately, faking calm. It's stuffy in here anyway. I'm going out to find Aunt Harper. Before she left, she smoothed her hair and shot me a look full of contempt. Evelyn, keep hiding in your shell. Using people like weapons. One day that gun's gonna misfire. I lifted my chin, smiled faintly, and made sure my voice carried. Give Miss Cassandra a couple to-go bags. I tilted my head. Wouldn't want her to run out of places to put things. Cassandra turned paper white, heels clicking, practically fleeing. Starting tomorrow, she'd be a joke in this circle. The door barely shut before Noah dropped the act completely. He slumped back in his chair, let out an exaggerated sigh, then turned to me like he was venting to his bestie. Evelyn, that girl is really your sister? Same mom and everything? He grimaced. The second she heard I came to see you, she latched on. Like a fish popping up thinking there's bait. Then he kept going. Disgust all over his face. And her aunt too. Every day she's telling her to seduce me. Like, does she ever look in a mirror? Never mind. I'm not even gonna say it. Like I'd be desperate. I burst out laughing. Thinking about Cassandra's face just now had me laughing until my stomach hurt. She's scared you'll like me, I said. Terrified. She's scared I'll swallow her whole. Scared the status she clawed her way into will get ripped right off. Noah patted his chest. Overacting. Oh please. If I don't like you, who am I gonna like? That waterlogged brain girl? Jade cracked too, leaning toward me. You're seriously calm, she said, shaking her head. If I had a sister like that, I'd explode. Then she got serious. While you were out of the US, she tried smearing you online. Luckily it didn't really go viral. I raised an eyebrow. Did she? Noah slammed the table. That idiot needs a lesson. He bared his teeth, then grinned again like a kid handed a weapon. She wants to be an actress, right? Fine. I'll make her. A circus bear. I quickly stuffed a piece of pastry into his mouth. Eat, I said. Stop performing. Noah chewed, eyes lighting up. My turn. He leaned in, excited, like he was bragging. That old witch Vivian still thinks I'm useless. She's getting ready to rewrite the will and put her real son on top. Noah chuckled, low and mean. She'll die never knowing it. Everything's already in our hands. I nodded, calm like I was listening to a report. Good. The auction continued. People bought a few pieces of jewelry, then filed out. At the end, Noah stopped me in the hallway. The yellow light fell across his face, softening his usual cocky look a little. He stared at me for a long moment, then said it so, honestly it made me pause. Evelyn, from now on if anything happens, you come to me. He lifted his hand like he was swearing an oath. I will help you. Every time. I looked at him, and something warm, small but real flickered in my chest. In my last life, he pulled me out of hell by faking amnesia. In this life, I'd pull him out of Vivian's trap with a real plan. I smiled. Deal. 3 years ago, Noah actually listened to me. Not pretend listened. Survival instinct listened the way someone raised in a greenhouse finally smells gasoline under the floorboards. I told him, if you want to live, don't argue. If you want to win, don't get hot-headed. If you want everything back, learn how to play dumb. Noah didn't fully believe it, but he quietly hired people to investigate Vivian Sterling. And Vivian was arrogant enough not to even hide. She'd been playing saint for so long. She started believing she really was one. Believing every trace could be washed away with tears and headlines. So Noah dug up everything. Offshore accounts, murky trusts, weird payments, secret lawyer meetings, draft wills edited again and again. Every stitch of it. Noah stared at the pile of evidence and laughed with red-rimmed eyes. Then he looked at me and declared it solemnly like he was swearing in court. From today on, Evelyn is my bestie. I almost laughed. But when I saw his eyes, I couldn't. Because I knew that feeling the first time someone actually believes you. Believes you're not crazy. Believes you're not making it up. Believes you really were being hurt. Out in public, Noah was still the Noah the media loved. The reckless rich kid. The party boy. The useless heir. Everyone expected to get kicked out. But behind the scenes he started building a plan. Step by step. Step by step. Pulling weeds by the roots inside Sterling Group. Switching people. Switching books. Switching signing authority. Replacing mom's people who'd been planted in finance like nails. Noah played dumb to grow power. He acted weak so people got careless. He acted stupid so they got confident. He let Vivian think she was walking a dog when really, she was walking a wolf, and the leash was already looping around her own neck. Then Noah used Cassandra to stay in the spotlight. Because Cassandra was loud. Cassandra knew how to stir drama. Cassandra was the perfect prop to make the press chase. To force Vivian to show up. To force her under flashbulbs saying things she didn't want to say. Noah forced Vivian to bring her son home. Forced her to perform the loving stepmother role to the bitter end. And when Vivian was dragged onto the stage, she had to make riskier moves. The riskier the move, the bigger the opening. All of it I taught Noah step by step, using what I remembered from my last life. Not so he'd owe me, but because I knew if Noah died, fate's wheels would roll straight over me next. Noah once thanked me in a voice so real even his jokes couldn't hide it. Evelyn, thank you. I've been treated like a joke for years. Didn't think I'd ever meet someone who actually meant it with me. He smiled, then got serious again. Guess I was sincere so I earned sincere karma back. I shook my head. That wasn't it. It was just that I'd once been in Cassandra's place. I'd once been a kid turned into a tool. That memory never disappears. It just sleeps then suddenly bites into my heart whenever I see a child being used as entertainment. In my last life, Aunt Harper made me learn sexy dances when I was 8. I was too small to understand. I just stared blankly at the disgusting comments streaming past the screen, like black sludge leaking into my eyes. Harper was afraid school would mess up daily filming, so she pulled me out. I became an influencer like they wanted. I made money. A lot of money. But Harper was never satisfied. She wanted me to be a star. Wanted me under lights like she used to be, applause, attention, people hunting her. And I just wanted to joke with friends at school. Laugh without a camera. Run without angling my face. I tried to tell her once. What I really meant was, I understood what those comments meant now. They were mocking me. Asking how much for a night. Throwing words at a child like stones. But before I could finish, Harper threw me into the basement. She screamed through the steel door. You're peeking right now. If you don't grab this chance, how are you gonna live later? Stay down there and think. Think it through, then come back up. I was stubborn. I didn't apologize. I refused to bend. So Harper didn't feed me. That basement hadn't been used in years. Mildew. Rot. Little scrabbling sounds. That night, I lay there wide-eyed, convinced rats were chewing my toes. Not until sunrise, when a thin thread of light slid through the vent, did I finally cry. I won't study anymore, Aunt. I won't study anymore. Harper heard me and didn't open the door. She left me another night. I heard her talking to someone. Her voice cold as a blade. This brat thinks I'm easy. If I don't teach her a lesson, she'll tear the roof off. After that I ran a high fever for a week. But Harper still dragged me onto live stream. Because money. I tried asking Grandma Margaret for help. She pretended not to hear. Oh honey, I'm old. My hearing's not what it used to be. What did you say? Go tell your aunt. Until the night, I saved Noah. That night, Noah showed up in my life like a pin holding my last bit of sanity in place. Harper suddenly got weirdly sweet to him, like she could smell power and money. Noah wanted to run at first. Then he noticed me. A child who finished live streams, then sneaked a flashlight out at night to read. It was the only elementary school textbook I still had. Later Harper ripped it up. But I picked up every scrap and taped it back together like I was taping myself together, and carried it all the way to the city. Noah saw it. He quietly lifted the blanket, slid in, turned off my flashlight, and pretended he was putting me to sleep. I startled and kicked him. What are you doing? Noah hugged me and laughed under his breath. What are you scared of? I'm just your bestie. Then he flicked my forehead, teasing but gentle. Stop using your Coke bottle glasses to read that ancient junk. Come on. What does Bestie want to hear? I'll tell you. Thinking of that, I looked at Noah now and patted his shoulder. Noah, I said, you've got to be more confident. You deserve it. He turned red instantly, red like a kid being praised for the first time. Then he lunged in and hugged me, rubbing his face against me like a big dog. Wah. Noah acted it up. Baby, you're so warm. I love you so much. I feel like I can't live without you. Right then, someone behind us shouted, Doctor! Doctor! Wasn't he just on the overpass? Noah and I turned at the same time. And I saw the man everyone had been talking about lately. Ethan Pierce. They called him the Seattle monk billionaire vegetarian. Spiritual. Pure. The man finance circles whispered would marry me to save Grey Group's funding crisis. He stood there, black hair, pale face, dried blood on his forehead, staring at me like he'd just woken up from a long dream. His voice was low, almost a whisper. Good. That's good. I felt something weird. Why did I feel guilty like a husband had caught me cheating when Ethan and I weren't even anything? Before I could untangle it, Ethan swayed forward and collapsed. I rushed to catch him. A man in a suit behind him shouted, almost panicked, Mr. Pierce. Then he looked at me like I was in the middle of a scam. Ma'am, I think he just fainted into you. Half an hour later, I was sitting in the hospital wondering if I should call the cops. That man came over to explain. His name was Liam Bennett, Ethan's assistant. Today they were traveling for work. A car crash happened on an overpass. Ethan got hurt but refused treatment, kept demanding to know where I was, then ran straight here. And then what I just saw. The more I listened, the less it made sense. What kind of monk billionaire acts like he's possessed? I looked at Ethan lying on the hospital bed. His face calm to the point of cold, and a nasty guess slid through my mind. Maybe the spiritual label was just a cover, covering some condition the Pierce family didn't want anyone to know about. But I still smiled, polite. It's fine. Noah immediately jumped in like my spokesperson. Fine my ass. He pointed. Righteous. His family's losing it, and they're trying to drag my baby into it. If there wasn't a camera today, who knows, maybe they'd say my baby assaulted him. Noah lifted his chin. If you're sick, go get treated. I turned to leave. Liam hesitated, took one step forward. Miss Hart. I glanced at him. What is it? Liam shook his head fast, like he was afraid one extra word would get him killed. Nothing. Sorry. I left the hospital. Half an hour later, Ethan slowly woke up. One look at Liam and he knew. She left. Liam nodded. Yes. Ethan lowered his eyes. No one could read what was in them. But Liam heard him murmur, so softly it sounded like he was talking to himself. Seeing her once is enough? For Ethan, maybe that really was enough. Evelyn was reborn. The future was bright. Good people around her. No need to repeat the same disaster. That night, the auction ended. And right after everyone got home, the internet exploded again. Cassandra and Aunt Harper got hit with a mountain of dirt, fake degrees, academic cheating stories, a history of bullying. Their past got dragged out like yanking a rotten fish out of mud. Comments flooded in. Laugh my ass off. People are just seeing their real faces now? I knew something was off from the way she danced as a kid. And her aunt too, who believes she voluntarily left Hollywood. What's the tea? Why can't I find it? Old news. Industry rumor. Harper slept with a rich guy. Tried to get pregnant to trap him. Got blacklisted. Even with paid trolls, Cassandra couldn't kill the trend. Her new videos got limited. And since Cassandra was Noah's girlfriend, Noah got splashed too. Sterling Group stock dipped. Some people inside the company who already hated Noah started hinting the Sterling should cut Cassandra loose. Cassandra and Harper waited for Vivian to come back, terrified. But when Vivian showed up, her attitude was strangely nice. Too nice. Nice in a way that made your skin crawl. Vivian smiled, hugged Cassandra like she was a future daughter-in-law, tears sparkling. It's all minor. It won't affect your place in my heart. She pulled Cassandra aside to talk, pulled Harper into a bright little laugh, her eyes flashing like she was counting money. The more favorite Cassandra and Harper were, the more scared they got. Noah stood nearby, smiling without smiling. He looked at them, then lowered his gaze and typed. A message popped up on my phone, just one line. Baby, come watch the show. Meanwhile, I followed Uncle Gray into Gray Group like I was walking into a battlefield already smoking. Not for experience. Not for fun. I went straight into strategy. Sat down at the meeting table where the old executives were used to treating me like a lucky kid with the Gray name. I smiled, greeted them politely, then threw my analysis onto the screen, numbers popping up like slaps. Cash flow didn't die because of the market, I said. Cash flow died because people inside the house have been sucking it dry. 3 weeks later, the founding heroes who loved warm chairs and dirty contracts started losing their seats. No tears. No send-offs. I didn't move with feelings. I moved with process audits, contract clauses, evidence, lawyers. My credibility inside Gray Group shot up so fast it almost made me laugh. Because finally, they stopped looking at me with the question, "Are you really blood?" They looked at me with the only question that mattered here. "Can you save the company?" Under my push, Gray Group's funding chain started to recover. Shady partners were cut. Bad debt was boxed in, restructured, peeled back layer by layer like stripping rot off fruit. Interest networks got severed clean enough that even legal finally exhaled. The Gray Group now had cut off anyone with a divided heart. My uncle looked at me and said something rare, blunt. "The future's good." Then he stared right into my eyes and said something even blunter. "And we don't need some marriage alliance." I didn't even get to react before he gave a small smile. The kind you get from someone who's seen too many tragedies caused by changing your life through marriage. Even if the Gray family hits rock bottom, we won't marry you off to a stranger just so you can become some wife who cooks and does laundry. Free. Unattached. Not drowning in love. That's who the Gray family wants you to be. He tilted his head. His gaze was sharp like a knife, but this knife wasn't aimed at cutting me. It was aimed at cutting off my escape routes. "If you ever throw everything away for a man," he said, "then I'll have to admit, I misjudged you." I laughed out loud. As if, Uncle Gray. In my last life, Cassandra was the clearest warning sign I could have asked for. She believed marrying Ethan Pierce would give her love and power. But Ethan never saw Cassandra as a person. To him, she was decoration and accessory that made his purity image look legitimate. A shadow for him to pour his control into. A parasite clinging to a man so hard she'd throw away her dignity. How could she ever expect equal love? Grandma Margaret was so happy she immediately took off the jade bracelet she'd worn her whole life and slid it onto my wrist. "My good girl," she choked out. "You're the Gray family's lucky star." Aunt Elise smiled so wide she couldn't close her mouth. Even Uncle Gray couldn't hide his satisfaction. "Evelyn's smart," Elise said, eyes bright. "She comes back and cleans house inside and out. Fired the old men. Investigated the shady partners. Gray Group is still Gray Group." Everyone was happy. I smiled along. My cousins respected me more and more, dragging me over to make me tell stories. Harvard, New York, networking events, debates, funny things that happened to me. I picked a few light ones. The whole room laughed till they held their stomachs. Then one of my younger cousins frowned, shoved her phone toward my face. "Evelyn," she whispered. "Isn't that Cassandra? Why is she trashing you?" I glanced. And I actually laughed. In the video, Cassandra had secretly filmed my back and Noah's while we talked in the auction lobby. Her eyes were swollen from crying. Her voice shook like she'd been bullied by the entire world. Every line hinted I was seducing Noah. Then she sobbed into the camera like she was testifying in court. "Little sister," Cassandra said, voice broken. "I know you're not doing well living at Uncle's house. But that's not my fault. You've been living in luxury at Uncle's for years, anything you wanted you had. But I didn't. The career I fought for you destroyed it in an instant. I don't have capital. I don't have traffic. You can't do me like this." Pitiful and poisonous at the same time, playing the victim while stabbing without blinking. And the internet, hungry for blood, piled on immediately. Conspiracy theories got sewn together like cheap stitching. Evelyn lived off the Gray family forever and won't even help her own sister. Heard Gray Group's about to collapse. So Evelyn's looking for a new backer. I'm from their hometown. Heard her grandma died and she didn't even come back. Cassandra and Harper built from zero. Why ruin them over rumors? Cassandra and Aunt Harper jumped on the moment and restarted their live stream. Viewers shot up into the millions. They cried while telling sob stories, complained while selling products, misery as marketing. Cassandra did exactly what Vivian wanted. She turned public opinion into a knife, stabbing me, stabbing Noah, and stabbing Grey Group too. Not long after, Noah texted me, "Babe." The old witch finally made her move. I exhaled, about to close my screen, when an unknown number called. I picked up. The voice on the other end stuttered, awkward and shy. "Miss Hart, this is Liam Bennett, Ethan Pierce's assistant." I raised an eyebrow. "What is it?" Liam took a breath, like he had to gather every ounce of courage. "I saw. What's trending? Do you need help?" I smiled faintly. "No. But thank you." "Ah, okay. Sorry to bother you." Liam rushed. "I'm sorry." I was about to hang up, then I added, "Wait." Liam went silent. I looked out the window, voice even. "Tell Ethan I said thank you." On the other end, chaos broke out like Liam instantly lost his mind with happiness. He shoved the phone toward someone else, talking fast, probably waving his arms around. "Mr. Pierce! Mr. Pierce!" She said, "Thank you, sir." Ethan's voice came through close, cold, flat. "I heard. There's nothing to be surprised about." Liam shut up immediately like he'd just seen the prayer beads in Ethan's hand snap. No one said anything else. But I knew it. Some people aren't cold because they don't care. They're cold because they cared wrong once. Saved the wrong person once and paid too much. On the 18th, it was Noah and Cassandra's engagement party. Noah picked that date for one reason, and it wasn't romance. It was the day Vivian would be forced to make her move if she really wanted him dead. Cassandra insisted on live streaming it, practically foaming at the mouth. She wanted the whole world to see her happiness. Noah kept up the doting act, promises dripping out of his mouth, like he truly loved her, like he was truly stupid. The second Uncle Gray and I walked into the ballroom, Noah came over to greet us, polite as a perfect gentleman. I hadn't even gotten 2 sentences out before Aunt Harper cut in. Eyes sharp as a hawk, she pulled Noah away, then turned back and looked me up and down, pure contempt, like I was still that basement kid from years ago. "Evelyn," she said with a cold smile, "today is Cassandra's happy day. Don't try any tricks you picked up in this house. Behave yourself a little, and maybe your aunt and your sister will still accept you." Then she walked off smiling, greeting other guests like she'd just done something righteous. Uncle Gray patted my shoulder, not even bothering to acknowledge her existence. "Every time I see your sister and your aunt," he said blandly, "I feel luckier I adopted you." I picked up a small pastry. Before I could even taste it, a cool voice spoke behind me. "This one's too sweet. Sweet enough to make you sick of it." I tilted my head. Ethan Pierce was standing there, face blank, holding a plate just like mine, speaking to Liam. Liam looked like he was about to cry, like Ethan had forced him to taste test half the dessert table. I thought for a second, then set my pastry down. Ethan immediately swapped plates and handed a different one to Liam. "This one's fine." Liam backed up like he'd seen a ghost. "Mr. Pierce, I'm full." Then he weakly looked at me. "Or maybe you ask Miss Hart?" Only then did Ethan notice me. He dipped his head in a small nod. "Running into you again." Then he said something that made you choke. "Liam can't finish. Do you want it? You'll feel better if you eat it." I didn't care whether I'd feel better. I cared about something else. Ethan had the same kind of sideways gentleness Noah had. The kind of person who doesn't know how to say nice things, so they use food instead. I gave them both a meaningful look, then decided not to get involved. I walked away. Behind me, Ethan stared at the pastry without speaking. Liam whispered in misery, "Mr. Pierce, if this is how you flirt, Miss Hart could have 3 kids and you still wouldn't keep up." Ethan set the plate down, voice flat. "Mind your business." Out in the hall, Cassandra started showing off her dress. Noah had it custom made by a top designer. One of a kind. "Thank you for caring. Noah loves me so much." The livestream camera swept right past the moment I just spoken to Ethan. Everyone saw Ethan's eyes dip for a split second, saw me walk away coldly. Cassandra's face stiffened. She immediately ordered them to change angles, focus on the stage, then spun and stormed straight toward me, eyes on fire. "Evelyn," Cassandra hissed through her teeth. "You again? What do you even want? Why won't you just go away?" "Fine. You tried to seduce Noah? Now you're trying to seduce Ethan too? You really think you're that irresistible? I folded my arms, looking at her like an animal cornered and snarling. Thanks for the compliment, I said slowly. I am irresistible. All I have to do is hook a finger. And the men you can't get? They all end up circling me. I sighed, pretending to be burdened. God, it's exhausting. Cassandra shook with rage, chest heaving. Then she gave a cold laugh, like she'd remembered her last card. Fine. You forced this. After the engagement, I'm the sterling crown princess. Thanks for watching. Then a nobody like you? You'll just have to let me do whatever I want to you. I shuddered dramatically. So scary. What am I gonna do? Guess I'll just sit back and watch your show. Cassandra stomped off in her heels, leaving in a blaze of hot blood. The engagement ceremony began. And right when the music hit, the ballroom doors flew open. A line of cops walked in black jackets, shiny badges. Vivian Sterling sat in the front row, the corner of her mouth lifting. In her mind, the plan had worked. She was probably thinking, today Noah gets arrested. Today Noah gets humiliated. Today Noah dies in disgrace. Noah raised a hand, signaling the ceremony to pause. He was calm, polite like a host welcoming guests. Officer, Noah smiled. What seems to be the issue? The cop looked at Noah, then spoke with surprising respect. Sorry to interrupt. We're here to arrest Vivian Sterling, along with her son. Then he continued, voice clear. And Cassandra Lane, Harper Lane, and several others involved. Vivian's smile died on the spot. Cassandra went statue still. Harper looked like her bones had been pulled out. Noah kept smiling politely. Their family, he said. What are they being arrested for? The officer's voice turned cold. Drug trafficking. Nobody even breathed. Vivian stumbled back a couple steps, babbling like she'd lost her mind. No. That's impossible. It's supposed to be Noah. You're supposed to arrest him. Noah tilted his head, like an innocent kid asking a question. You mean this? He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small bag of white powder. Then he smiled like he was doing a magic trick. I've been wondering why Cassandra's been sneaking something into my tea lately. He handed the bag to the officer, his voice perfectly, painfully innocent. Officer, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I haven't done anything. I'm happy to come in and get tested. And somewhere across the room, my phone buzzed in my pocket. One message. From Noah. Baby. The show's starting. Cassandra and Aunt Harper froze. Cassandra's eyes went wide, her lips trembling like she'd just seen something that wasn't supposed to exist. That is. She didn't even finish before the answer hit her. Cold metal. Handcuffs. 2 sharp clicks at the same time, clean, brutal like fate slamming a lock. The party exploded. On the livestream, comments popped like fireworks. What the fuck? Is this rich people power war? And drugs too? Cassandra and Harper seriously knew nothing. Are they dumb? Engagement party turned into a live prison stream, insane. Noah shot me a glance and winked like a kid showing off a prank. Then he raised his hands and went with the cops for testing, polite enough to look like he was walking into a meeting. I stayed behind to manage the scene. Jade and the girls spread out automatically, one blocking the live streamers, one calming the guests, one calling lawyers, one telling security to lock down exits. It ran smooth like a drill, because we all knew there would be blood today. We just didn't know whose it would be. Ethan Pierce stood off to the side, looking like he wanted to speak then didn't. The evidence that Vivian and her biological son were involved in trafficking was airtight. So the moment the cops walked in, the game was decided. No one was saving them anymore. Cassandra and Aunt Harper kept screaming. We didn't know. We were framed. We're victims. They got released temporarily. But being released doesn't mean being clean. It just means it wasn't their turn yet. The second the cuffs came off, the two of them ran to find Noah, dropping to their knees in the hospital hallway. Cassandra cried. Harper cried. Fast, desperate sobs like they were drowning. Noah looked down at them and smiled. That familiar cocky grin was still there. But behind it was something cold, glacier cold. Huh, he said lightly. Don't look for me. The fact I'm not killing you two is already me being very law-abiding. Cassandra went ghost white. Harper stammered. Noah lifted his chin, announcing the rules. How about this? I'll play a game with you. You get 2 days. If you can find someone to back you, we'll call it even. If you can't, Noah bent down, voice lowering into their fear like a whisper. Then be good. And play with me. Shaking like stepped-on snakes, they crawled to the gray house. Cassandra didn't want to bow to me. So she went to Uncle Gray. She stood in the living room like she was standing before the last god who could save her. Voice thick with the practiced tears of someone who knew how to use crying as a weapon. Uncle Gray, please help me. When my mom was alive, she always said. Cassandra swallowed her tears, forcing her voice soft. If it was about my mom, you'd help no matter what. I know you still care about me. You still want to help me, right? Uncle Gray didn't answer right away. He just called me over. He tilted his head at Cassandra, calm as if he were handing me a crown. Evelyn, your sister is begging me. You're the heir. You decide. Hope flashed across Cassandra's face like she still believed she could buy a way out with family. But I stepped forward, and one sentence kicked her straight in the heart. Cassandra, I said with a thin smile. You've got some nerve. I leaned down, looking her dead in the eyes, taking in the panic shattering inside them. You chose Aunt Harper. Do you regret it yet? Cassandra jerked back then, suddenly screamed like the last wire in her brain had snapped. This is you. It's all you. Evelyn, you did something. I laughed softly. Take a guess, I said, slow, each word peeling skin off a mask. For all these years, why did Harper let you chase showbiz? But she never dared step into it herself? Not even 1 foot. Cassandra froze. I tilted my head, voice gentle like a bedtime story, poisonous like medicine. Because you're the product she trained with her own hands. Prepped to be sold. I handed her back the exact logic Harper once used to lock me up. Cassandra understood. Because when someone finally realizes their merchandise, they stop crying. All that's left is fear. Her begging failed. Cassandra and Harper turned on each other. Harper was selfish. The second she saw there was no way out, she aimed at Cassandra like Cassandra was the last life raft left. She sold Cassandra to a real estate guy in New Jersey, trading her for a safe ticket out of New York. He smiled, promised everything. Enjoyed one night like a bonus item. Then the next morning he played deaf and dumb. What? He chewed slowly, smirking. Didn't you bring your niece to flatter me? And now you've got demands too. If you want to make demands, that's not this price. Harper went still. She realized she'd been played. She decided to grit her teeth and run anyway. But Cassandra grabbed her. Wouldn't let her go. They fought on a high floor of a hotel. Their curses hit each other like acid. And in one insane moment, Cassandra dragged Harper with her over the railing. 1 minute later, 2 smash stains on concrete. When I heard, I didn't feel lighter. Didn't feel heavier. I just thought. The circle finally closed. Noah took over Sterling Group. The mess Vivian left was bigger than the press could imagine. Noah called me every day to complain, sounding like paperwork was driving him insane. But Noah had his own way of blowing off steam. Until one day, he literally flipped the boat in a ditch. Noah was making out with his new boyfriend next to a parked car. So caught up he forgot the world existed. Ethan Pierce walked by and punched Noah straight in the nose. A dry crack like snapping a pen. Ethan grabbed Noah by the collar. Eyes red. Voice rough like he'd swallowed fire. Noah Sterling. Are you even human? You lied to Evelyn. Noah, still furious from the pain, suddenly went blank. He pointed at himself. Eyes wide. What? I lied to Evelyn? When? How do I not know about that? Ethan's jaw clenched. You call her babe. You got engaged in front of her. And then, with some random guy on the street. Ethan raised his fist like he was about to hit again. Noah panicked and yelled, wait. You got it wrong. Evelyn and I are best friends. Besties. Like siblings. The wind seemed to freeze. Ethan went still. His fist lowered slowly. He looked at Noah in a complicated way like Noah was both punchable and pathetic. Noah frowned. Dude. Don't tell me you like my bestie. As he spoke, Noah yanked out his phone and called me so fast. Ethan couldn't stop him. Evelyn. Noah shouted. Voice pained but still acting. Ethan Pierce hit me. I'm basically disabled. Do not under any circumstances fall for him. Half an hour later, I got to the hospital. Noah had his nose wrapped like a busted piece of pride hurting. Offended. I listened to his dramatic complaint, pieced together the truth, then couldn't take it anymore and covered his mouth. Enough, I said. You're so annoying. Noah stared at me with watery eyes. Babe, are you dumping the old for the new? Ethan stood beside us, turning his face away like he didn't even want to look, which made me oddly awkward. I lowered my voice, serious. I'm sorry. I didn't know he. I flicked a glance at Noah. Was gay. Noah immediately started thrashing. Hey, why are you apologizing to her? He turned to Ethan, voice rising. Apologize to me. I quietly took one step away from Noah and spoke to Ethan like I was calming down someone who'd hit the wrong target. Don't mind him. He's always like this around people he knows. Ethan was silent for a moment, then asked calmly, almost carelessly, like he was asking about the weather. If that's the case, can I pursue you? I looked at him. Good build. Good background. Character. At least straight enough to punch Noah when he thought I'd been played. I used to think he was gay, but he denied it. Maybe trying love once wouldn't be a loss. I nodded. Sure. Let's see if you can actually pull it off. No. Noah shot up to protest, but I gave him one look. Noah shut up instantly, like someone hit mute. Ethan let out the faintest smile. He reached into his pocket and took out a small card like a talisman and placed it in front of me. I've wanted to give this to you for a while. Will you take it? I looked at it, and my heartbeat slowed. In my last life, this card was hidden away in a corner no one knew about, like a plea that never made it out loud. In this life, it was right in my hand, warm and real. I took it, lifted it in front of him, and smiled. Then thanks.